Hey everyone, I'm back to continue my conversation. In my last couple of videos, I was talking about, um, so I had some really cool dreams that had something to do with frontline assembly. And then just before I went to the show and met them in '98, I also had a really interesting dream that seemed to have a few small premonitions in it. And so around that time, and I'm thinking probably before that happened, even because, like, what I want to get into today is when I tried working for a website called I'mSoSexy.com, and this is why I needed to set up the phone line under somebody else's name. And that's when, I got a phone call from Rosie where she shouldn't have had my phone number, so that was a visionary slip. And at the same time, it's like been really hard to remember the timeline because I didn't keep a diary. I'm just kind of thinking, I remember, like, probably towards the Miller end of summer, I quit working for those two really good jobs, sold my VW Bug to Jason, and Jason ended up helping me get a job at this pizza shop. So I was working at this pizza shop. It was kind of part-timey, and that's when I was also hanging out with my good friend Jeremy, who lived out in Lakewood, in this apartment building where the people he knew upstairs, the girl living upstairs, she was a young woman in her 20s. She was working for this thing called I'mSoSexy.com, and I was kind of telling her, I really need some extra money or something. And she said, well, you should try this. You could make a lot of money doing this. And so she put me in touch with the owner, and we met up in person. It was an old guy with gray hair that owned a heating company. And he had a partner that he didn't bring along with him, but he was also an older guy in his 50s. And the funny thing is, they were both named Bill. So I signed up with him to give it a try. And so they loaned me a computer, but I had to get the phone set up in somebody else's name. Now, getting into this, I feel like this is something where I thought if I did this, like, the idea was like you're live in front of your audience and they can write to you and you can write back. But it's like taking snapshots instead of an actual video. So just so many snapshots per minute maybe coming through, and I'm supposed to, like, talk about sex and kind of get them to talk me into taking my clothes off and that type of thing. And I thought I could do it very easily. And, like, again, I'm not a very promiscuous person. I'm not, like, out here looking for sex left and right. In fact, I haven't had very much sex in a long time, so I might be, overdue, right? I don't know if you've ever seen Saturday Night Live, but there was this character named Pam, and we couldn't tell if she's male or female, right? So she's getting an interview, or he, or whatever it is, and they're going through the questions, and when they get the sex, they go, yes, please. Like, we're all dying to know what Pat's gender is. But anyways, I always think of that character when I think, man, I haven't had sex in a long time. There's, like, that character, Pat, going, sex, please. But anyways, I'm not into, like, and even when I was younger, I think I experimented more when I was, like, in my teens and early 20s. And I think I just got burned out on it because it's like, it's just too, like it's not like we're making love, we're not, I'm not in love with my partner, so I've never experienced, making love to someone who I'm really deeply in love with. So it just seems kind of cold and impersonal. And then, like, most of the time, you kind of get treated like, you know, like you're a stupid slut or something, right? I mean, there's a few people I've known that I've had sex with where it went, like, with everything, like, things didn't get weird, we could stay friends. And so I don't know very many people who I've had sex with for that reason. It just, I don't know if you've ever seen probably Austin Powers, when the characters on the bad side, I forget who the evil guy was that was like $1 million. But him and that lady on board, once they had sex, everything got weird, and you usually can't stay friends. So um this is where, okay, I feel like, man, I almost forgot to mention this. It's like, maybe it's something I want to forget about, but I like to think, when I got into it, it was because, I thought it'd be easy money, like it would be easy to talk about sex, and it's kind of funny. I kind of laugh about it. I feel like I don't take sex that seriously. To me, it's a funny thing, and I wasn't afraid to do that. But at the same time, I thought it would be some good, I hate to say it, but character building, right? So as I'm becoming an artist and performer, I might have to be comfortable with myself in front of a camera or an audience. in the long run. And maybe, you know, taking my clothes all the way off is a great way to break all those boundaries. And like some of my favorite artists would be like Cozy Fanny Tootie, and I think early on she was a stripper or something. They were doing sexual things, and so that means like the sky's the limit. If you can do that, then you could do anything. So I just really wanted to get paid, and I didn't. The company did rip me off. They didn't pay me, by the way, so I didn't make a lot of money at it. And it lasted about a month, so I'm just thinking like it didn't go for very long. And then here's the funny thing. I was starting to flash back on this. I kind of wanted to get into the flashback first before I tell the whole story, just because I thought it was amusing. It was just what brought my memory back. I'd say about 5 years ago this time, I hadn't been in touch with Bill Lee for a while. Like, I was fighting with his girlfriend, and I hadn't contacted him for like 8 years. And I kind of got the itch to contact him, and it's because I had this flashback in a ways, like, in part, and I'll tell the other part too. The flashback was, I could hear a song by King Crimson playing in my head. And I'm just wondering, you know, why do I keep... I would hear this song in my head, and I'd see myself on my futon sitting in that apartment with no clothes on. And I want you to listen to the lyrics here. What a perfect mess. And then I show my shit laying on that desk. I kept hearing this song and seeing myself. It was like a flashback. And then I'm like, oh, that's when I was doing I'mSoSexy.com. I'm like, well, why am I thinking about that? You know, and well, the other half of my memory was last couple times I seen Believe in my visions. I was like 11 going on 12. He came to me and he tried to make love to me, and he gave me that whole lecture like, whatever you do, don't forget who I am or you may never see me again. Keeps it aggravated. This hopelessness. Whoa, mess, right? Perfect lyrics. All right, I want to stop it right there, but you know, I just thought that was the perfect lyrics, like, because I couldn't think of the lyrics. I'm like, why do I keep getting a song in my head? What is this about? And then I went and looked up the lyrics, and it's saying something like about schizophrenic tendencies, keeping things complicated, keeping things aggravated. So maybe like what I'm describing, it sounds like schizophrenia. Like, you're like, oh, Jody, you might have schizophrenia or psychosis, or, you know, it sounds like. So I don't know what this song is about. They're talking about three of a pair, and I always thought, you know, Bill and Reza are a pretty good pair, you know, so why would they need me to join their band? I'd be like three, you know, they're already a good enough pair without me. I'd be like the third wheel here, you know, like, or the third leg. No, just kidding. I don't know. Just not necessary. Like, who needs this extra person when you already have threes? But I thought, hey, you know, I could always be like, they could have like a male and female keyboard player with Bill in front. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. So not too bad idea for Frontline Assembly. Anyways, funny thing is, this was giving me a flashback, but then it also made me think about the, you know, I went over to my friend Juan's house and then had Bill take me aside and wanted to be the first person to try to get my pants. So he didn't like completely get anywhere, but like it's like another story in another video. But it was just the part where he kept telling me, please don't forget who I am, and it just kind of like hit me over the head with that message a number of times. And I just thought, well, why don't I try writing them one more time? There were a few other flashbacks that were going on, so that's kind of how it kind of catches up with me later in life. So this is like 5 years ago, 2019. I decided to try to reach out to him again, and since then, I think it's been peaceful and like, hey, feel free to call or write or whatever. And like, it's kind of been building from there to where I feel like we're more and more at peace since we've done this. So thank you for that. I appreciate it if you're listening. At any rate, back to the dirty video channel that I joined. Um, so like since I washed my hair today, like I didn't comb it, and I thought I should share what my hair looks like because I always hid under my hat. That's my hair, and I was looking at it because it kind of gets a like whirl like this poster, this blanket. It's like, I'm a real Goldilocks, but I thought I'd share that because that's all part of being candid, and I think that's something I take pride in. I'm pretty much a blunt and candid person, and I don't really hide a lot of things, and so I think that might be something people don't like about me is maybe I should keep more things to myself, but yeah, it's like, what have I got to hide? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I think people need to become more comfortable with themselves and things that are natural to us, and that's kind of why I always thought, I like Genesis Pure for a teacher for that reason, telling people not to get too hung up on, image and cultural expectations. Maybe his image is like a female, so that's one thing, but to be free about the image you choose, and how you express yourself is, it's not hurting anyone. And I really think, people shouldn't be taught. Our culture is teaching us to be ashamed of what's natural to us, which is our naked body, and so we shouldn't be ashamed of those things. Like, I really think the only reason I should wear clothing is for sanitation. Like when we spar at jujitsu, like they want us to wear, like especially if we do no-gi training, they want us to wear what you call spats or rash guards. That way you're not going skin to skin and passing things to each other. We don't want to go without our pants on and sit down and then leave. Like females leaving snail trails and anyone leaving butt stains. So other than that, I really think, there's a lot of natural rights that are being taken away from us. So like me, being able to take my clothes off in front of a camera is me just like, oh yeah, I'm going to exercise my freedom to that extent, right? And then along the way, so I thought, hey, this is my opportunity to try to find Bill Leave online. So totally didn't think about this at first, right? And so I'm just jumping ahead, like, okay, so I went to see Frontline Assembly and I got ditched by them, and it seemed like somebody was there, kind of saying, hey, don't talk to Jody, she's crazy. But then the next time I saw them, there was somebody talking about me in a distance, and they were loud enough. It was like, hey, there's the girl who was trying to get Bill Lieb in bed last year. Oh no, so I'm just like, I was not trying to get him in bed. I was trying to get him to go to my house and smoke pot. And I was going to try to bring his wife too, but I wasn't trying to have a threesome either. I would have been excited to know this was his wife and meet her and share my things with them. But now it got turned into an ugly rumor of me just trying to get Bill Lieb in bed, which in a roundabout way, it's not a bad idea. Like, I mean, like that's the problem is like, I don't want to try to get Bill in bed, but like if he wanted to try to get me in bed, it'd be hard to say no because I do think he's a cute old dude. And he was what in his early 40s and I was like 23, so to me he seems like he's a little too old for me anyways. I feel like Bill Lieb is my elder. I really shouldn't consider him for my partner and stuff like that. So like I didn't want to let sex ruin our possibly making a connection because I'd just been through stuff with Master Tay from Kung Fu. I felt like that was ruining our relationship as friends, and now I can't be friends with him because I let him do it to me. And then before that, I had somebody get me pregnant and then deny that they would ever even touch me. And just I've had a number of bad experiences that kind of make me feel like I should try not to have sex with Billy if I want to keep him in my life any longer than one night. See. So as far as inviting them to my house, having that lady along that was trying to protect them, I wasn't sure if she was a band manager or whatever, but I thought it was a good idea to bring her. So this is how it gets started, is me, going on, and I found Frontline Assembly's official band page, and I invited some guys to talk to me on my page if they wanted, just because I thought it'd be fun to bring people onto my page who like my kind of music and make it more fun for me. So I wasn't thinking about trying to recruit Bill Lieb when I did this, and now I'm starting to wonder if I accidentally did recruit him or at least draw his attention to make it look like I was hoping to recruit him. I don't know if that's where his wife might have thought I'm trying to get him in bed by doing this. So anyways, I was talking to some people on my I'mSoSexy.com page, and I thought some of those people looked like they had been on the Frontline Assembly page, like some of them had the same name, so I thought I was kind of bringing some over. And then after a while, somebody was asking me, you know, what kind of music do you like? What's your favorite band? And so I showed them. I might have been listening to Cabaret Voltaire, not the conversation, but the one before that, International Language. And I held up the cover and showed it to them, and then they asked me what my idea of an attractive man is. Well, I had that magazine now. I've mentioned I had a magazine that I got some pictures of Bill out of. Like, this is the one I kept because I thought this is just a classic case of Bill Lieb with this undercut and everything. And so there was another one. It was like an entire page of just Bill, you know, kind of had his hand in a thinking position, and it had the word mind phasing down the side because Mind Phaser is one of the tracks. And I went over and I showed this picture. This is my idea of an attractive man, I said, you know. So at some point, the other owner named Bill was coming online, so I didn't understand why the Bill I met was telling me the other Bill was coming online, so he wanted me to be on at the same time. And I'm just thinking, why? So he can jack off to my pictures? I thought he was the owner, you know. And then after a while, they were showing his picture, and it looked like a tall, skinny guy in his house coat, and I could just see his fingers typing. And I'm just thinking, well, why does he have to make himself secret? You know, I started thinking this guy Bill sounds like a real pervwad, you know, like, you know, so he sets up the I'mSoSexy.com just so he can serve himself. Like, I guess that's fine if they're paying me, but they gave me like $45 when I was done, right? And if you add 4 and 5 together, it's the number of magic, so I don't know if that means anything, but, you know, for $45 for coming on there for a month, I don't know how many hours I put in, but I was trying really hard. And anyway, so that's where I went online. I was talking about who's an attractive person in my eyes, and I showed Bill Lieb, and the thing is right after this conversation, like really quickly, within a matter of a week or so, the band site was under construction, and they had changed it to mindphaser.com. So I'm starting to wonder at this point, did they rename the band site mindphaser.com because of somebody coming to I'mSoSexy.com and having me tell them I think Bill Lieb is my idea of an attractive man, and showing that picture of Bill with the phrase mind phasing next to it? So that is a good question. Now, another time I had some people ask me to pose, you know. They asked me to pose a certain way, and then when my dad came out in the fall of '99, we went to the record store, and he bought me something that was like a psychic TV record. It was, I don't know if it was like a compilation or whatever, but it had like a collage made out of a woman's pussy, and it almost looked like one of those frames. So I don't know if like I hallucinated, like maybe I did the picture and went to the visionary slip, and that way the picture looked a little bit like this picture. But I kept thinking, man, that sure looks like my pussy. And I didn't want to tell my dad, you know, like, Dad, I think that looks like my pussy, you know. I'm not going to say that. Boy, it made me really embarrassed, like, oh my God. And then he buys it for me too, and that's what I get to keep, right, from that visit. So the thing is when I came to Colorado, I was staying with somebody who knew the head of Temple of Psychic Youth, and I don't know if his name was Paul, but I was wearing a psychic cross on my necklace, and I wanted him to fix it because Jesus was upside down, which he probably did on purpose. And I just said, hey man, my necklace is upside down. Is there any way you could help me fix that? And the funny thing is I thought I had seen him later on when I was kind of freaking out, and I thought all this stuff was going on, so I don't know right when. So I started kind of thinking maybe these guys are involved, you know, like maybe, you know, Kelly dropped out and he's really still around, and part of you know, I started thinking at some point these guys are orchestrating some pranks to kind of help bring me in or whatever they need to do. And then and so there was a young guy that was helping my boss Bill bring and set up the computer and stuff, and well, he contacted me and said we need to talk in private. So I went down and had coffee, and he said, Jody, there's something I need to tell you. He said, you have a stalker. And I was like, oh, okay. And I tried to act tough, but like, yeah, I don't care if I have a stalker, you know, as long as they don't touch me, they can stalk me all they want, dude. Like, I tried not to be afraid, but it definitely planted a seed of concern. But then one of the stupid things I did while I was on there is I was smoking pot in front of the camera, and so my boss told me, please don't do that, or we might end up under investigation by the feds or something. So that led to me being a little bit paranoid later. Maybe I did something stupid enough to get undercover agents to check me out and see if they could get any information out of me. Because sometimes they don't go after the smuggler. Sometimes they just want to trap them and see if they can find the dealer, you know, so they don't go right after you. And then I made friends with one of the guys from the Frontline Assembly page named Chris. He went by Christmas. It was kind of cheesy, and he had a little project called Alpha Star, and guess what? I still have his record. That is so cool. Alpha Star, so I still have it. I'm not sure if it's playable or not, but I was just really desperate for a friend who wanted to make music, and so he was living in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we stayed in touch after I left the website and continued talking over Frontline Assembly stuff because he was also a really big Frontline Assembly fan. And later on, I eventually went to his house, and he may have had an older brother that was working for Frontline Assembly, unless this was another visionary slip. There was a possible connection there. So, so I'm going to talk about Chris. So maybe I'll talk about him a little bit, just briefly. You know, so this is somebody I stayed in touch with until the year '99, and then I went to visit him, and then we had a falling out and quit talking pretty much. But I might have seen his older brother at that show in '99 that I'm going to share about later. So I wanted to touch on some of these things. That I think maybe mindphaser.com might have got its name from me sharing that picture. That Psychic TV album, I think I got rid of it. I had a meltdown and I got rid of a bunch of all of my Psychic TV and Frontline Assembly stuff, so I don't have it anymore. Being told I have a stalker, but then later on I get accused of being a stalker and then start to assume that Bill Lieb is the stalker, right? So it's kind of a funny little joke, how, and of course, a lot of times people that are dealing with psychosis or schizophrenia suspect that they're under investigation by, you know, undercover agents and stuff, but it kind of goes both ways. I mean, just the thought that these type of agencies exist and they operate they do is enough to make you go crazy itself, but if I've done something to attract their attention, so be it. But yeah, meeting Chris and trying to like find someone to make me forget about Bill Lieb, and I actually went to meet him. I just think it's cool that I still have that tape cassette. So it was like we're kind of seeing each other, like we could have been boyfriend and girlfriend and played music together. You know, he's a big fat guy with long hair, and he ended up having another girlfriend, so he was trying to keep me secret from her and keep her secret from me, so it's kind of funny. And so like he had to like find an exit, and so we had to we got to the point where we I don't know, maybe I was upsetting him and it gave him an exit, and I don't know if his girlfriend found out, but it's so hilarious. But boy, it's such an important part of my story. I can't believe it's almost like I almost forgot about this, you know. But then thinking back to I had that dream about the band before I went to meet them, and there's his keyboard player yelling at me and telling me, well, first he was telling me I was underage. I forgot that part. I was like, yeah, but I'm 23 years old. I'm like, dude, I got my ID. And he was telling me, yeah, it could be a fake ID. I can't trust it. And then when I, so that was the other thing that I thought was funny, telling me that I'm underage because Bill gets involved with people that are really young, like Reese Fulbro's only 16, and like Jeremy and Amelia, they were only 18 when he got involved with them, like, so telling me, you know, being 23 is being too young to hang out with Bill Lieb. So I don't know if like that's just like, maybe I'm too immature. Maybe that was the issue. It wasn't that I was too young. He just thought I was too immature, huh? Well, there could be that, but anyways, I'mSoSexy.com may have been part of how we got the title. MindPhaser.com, and to be honest, I really don't think I'm that sexy, so don't get me wrong. I'm not interested in doing that kind of work, so I had to figure that out. Like, yeah, I'm pretty open-minded, and I can talk about a lot of things very easily, but you know, that's just not my style. So really, me doing that video thing could be something I almost forgot about, because that's just really not the kind of thing I like to do. But at the same time, I do feel like it does tie in with my tendency to be very candid and blunt, and so that's just, you know, how I am, you know. I mean, sometimes I do, maybe I get kind of nervous and I'm kind of like, but But I am a truthful person to the extent that it doesn't always do me any good, right? Sometimes being too truthful, it's like you have to know how to like either keep it to yourself or tell people what they need to hear to get by and stuff. Well, I honestly just want to keep people in my life who I don't need to do any of that fake ass shit for. It's just like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I've experienced, and this is how I feel about it, you know? So it's my personal truth that I'm sharing, and so, you know, I just feel like if I reincarnated in the flesh for any reason, I just, you know, I think I know where true freedom is, and I just want people to have that same true freedom. That my purpose in life is to be a liberator, and that's why I love this art community and this philosophy community. That it's all part of that type of liberation coming out of the old paradigm and into the new paradigm. So, anyways. Let me get off of this here. I think I got my story through to you. That's all that matters, and I will share more later. Y'all have a great day, and I will talk to you then.